Here's the definition of protection: the action of protecting someone or something, or the state of being protected.
First of all, I think it's very interesting, and I hear this a lot, how you sat there and said, I would kill someone if they disrespected my moms or my grandmas or whatever. And I feel like most Black men, regardless of their opinions on Black women, feel that way. That's not the issue, though. Everyone is going to show support and fight for someone that they have some type of emotional attachment to. We're talking about the people who you don't know. Like, where is your support for them? Where is your respect for those women? The ones that you don't know at all, but just simply for the fact that they're Black women and they need your help. So that's one thing. The other...
Don't worry about it, okay? We're just gonna talk.
So here's what's up. For the past 16 years, my daughter's safety and protection has been my responsibility only. Now, for the first time in her life, I gotta hand you that responsibility. Don't fuck up, or your mama will weep if she has to wheel your ass around every day the rest of your life. I'll see you at 11:30.
I want to read this. I wanted the chick to come on and break it down and, what she meant and discuss it, but they didn't work out. But this is from a sister on Facebook. Her moniker is Chanel Shalom, and she wrote this statement in regards to protection. And I want to talk about that for a minute. What exactly do some Black women mean when they say Black men don't protect us? The dictionary definition of protection is to keep safe from harm or injury. Notice it says to keep safe. The definition of safe is protected from or not exposed to danger or risk. Notice it says not exposed to danger. For example, we use condoms to prevent us from pregnancy and STDs, and what we do commonly call condoms protection. Now, the definition of rescue me means to save someone from a danger or distressing situation. The two definitions are similar, but the difference between the two is that protect means to prevent you from being exposed to harm, while rescue means to save you while you're already in harm's way. One is before the fact, the other is after the fact. So now that we have the definition on the table, do women really mean that Black men don't protect Black women, or do they mean that Black men don't rescue Black women? Church. Because from what I see, Black men try to protect Black women all the time. They always are advising us on what we should and shouldn't do so that we don't end up in a distressing situation. But we don't listen. Instead, we argue. We don't want to take any of their instruction. We want to make our own decisions and lean on our own understanding, as the Bible says. But when our own understanding leads us to this sticky situation, it is then and only then when we want protection. Protection does not mean let me do what the fuck I want to do, my interjection. But when I get into trouble, come save me. If you are looking for Black men to do so, then you are not looking for protection, but you are looking for a savior. And if you're not willing to take instruction on how to avoid being in harmful situations in the first place, then you're not willing to be protected. Church. So, I know a lot of brothers feel that way. A lot of men watch women put themselves in situations that men know, like, you are going to take this L. Men know that, they see the writing on the wall. But at the end of the day, you have the autonomy to do whatever the hell you want to do. And we live in the age of egalitarianism that's preached and taught by the culture, and equality that's taught by the culture, and it's like you can't tell her what to do. And for whatever reason, some Black women are like, nope, we want to do whatever the fuck we want to do, and we still want you to go out there and risk your lives. And they want you, as Black men, to value their lives as more valuable than yours, even when they put themselves in situations that they should not even be in. They want not protection, they want to be rescued. And that's the topic of discussion today is, what does that look like? What does that mean? Now, in a patriarchal structure, which we do not have, tap the mic, which we do not have, you cannot charge people with something that they do not have or understand or comprehend or even on. If we did have a structure, possible there are men who will take responsibility for things that are not their fault, and they'll take those L's and they'll make those risks off principle when you have a structure like that. But again, that's something we do not have. That's what part of that don't you get? We don't have that. But I'm gonna respond to a couple videos and topics that I've seen on social media on what protection looks like, what that means, and how something ain't adding up. We're not telling a full circle story. We just coming at it from angles here and angles there. But let's have that full discussion. Let's talk about all of it. Don't leave nothing out. So the reason why I have this young man's picture here is, he's a football player, 15-year-old who ran outside and he made the ultimate sacrifice. He heard some gunshots in the hood. He ran out there and took some bullets from 3 other young black girls. Instant hero and whatnot. But I post him here because I don't know what happened with that situation. I haven't followed up. This would be a perfect documentary, a movie to have pushed forward. But in a real community, in a structured community with a patriarchy, that boy's parents shouldn't have had to pay for anything. Between the 3 girls and all those uncles and aunts and grandparents, that man's funeral should have been paid for. That those fathers should have been coming around doing work on the house, cutting grass. That mother shouldn't have to cook for a month. I'm not even talking about her family. I'm saying the family of the 3 girls who were protected by this young man. That's how it works. Now, I don't know, but I'm asking, how many of you think any of that happened? How many of you think that the community came together and supported him, that young man's family, took care of them and embraced them? He did the honorable thing. He thought that those girls' lives were more valuable than his, and he sacrificed his own, right? That's what happens in the patriarchy structure. Men do those things. But my question is, do you think the return was made for his family for what he did, for his sacrifice? This idea that these men who are disposable run out like other races and they just do it just to do it. Let's not be that obtuse. They come from a structure in a community where that would happen. You see all the time whenever these white dudes kill an unarmed black person or whatever, there's people who don't even know them that are putting money on their books, GoFundMe's instantly, 100,000, 300,000. We barely can get 10,000 for a GoFundMe for a 2-year-old that was shot in a drive-by. You know what I mean? We barely do that. But other structures in other communities, there's a reward for the sacrifice. And I'm saying, so there's that incentive, even if he's a disposable male, even if he's a man that's not valued in the community, even if he's just some simp sitting there, he'll go out of his way because subconsciously he knows that they're going to take care of my family. All this stuff is I'm going to be made a hero. I'm going to get some, accolades. It's not just out of the kindness of my heart. Like, subconsciously, it's known, even when a person who's probably negative and bad and probably has some dirt on their name, they're going to get recognition if they do this so-called honorable thing and risk it all to save someone else. But again, I ask that question, do we have that in the black community? You want to pick parts and aspects of it, but let's talk about it all the way through. Someone said, and I'm going to get to it later, she was like, a man shouldn't have to be getting sex to feel like he needs to protect the woman. And I agree with that part to an extent. But you think that disposable random men are going to risk their lives for strangers, for women that they don't even have a chance with at all in life? Good luck with that protesting. I don't believe in luck. I'm saying that the problem I have with the woman who particularly said this is that her whole platform of recently has been, we not supporting those who not supporting us. We not giving our dollars to people who don't promote us. We're not giving our dollars to people who say colorist statements. We're not going to see movies of people who got white bitches on their boats. So it's not just simply that you be a good actor, entertainer, musician, artist, make good clothes. It's who you date. It's the statements you said on Twitter 10 years ago. All that is being taken into play before you give them your support. But you, on the other hand, can't comprehend why black men aren't going to go out there and risk it all and view that your life is more valuable than theirs and get nothing in return. How, Sway? Let's talk about that. Okay, we got time. I remember that movie 3:10 to Yuma with Russell Crowe. It was a remake of a different Western, same title, but they remade it not that long ago. But it was Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. The summary of the movie was simply, Christian Bale was a disposable male, a fuck up. He lied about his legacy. He was a gimp. He lost his leg in a war, but he told people that he lost it in a way. He told his family he lost it in a way where he embellished. He lied. He was Al Bundying his story, though. Like, he was known in town for this story, but it wasn't true. And he started to feel bad because he was lying and telling everybody how he lost his leg, and it didn't really show. He didn't lose it the way he claimed he lost it in the war. But he was a farmer. He was poor. He was about to lose his land from the government because he wasn't paying his taxes. And he was on his last straw. So Russell Crowe, the Pookie and Ray of the town, he was a wanted man, killer, rapist, rape and pillage, all that. He was doing all that shit. Had a whole posse, whole town, just terrorizing shit. Now, he made a deal, Christian Bale, with the government, the federal government, that he would help escort Russell Crowe's character to that 3:10 to Yuma train so he can be prosecuted on a federal level and more charges would stick to him. But the deal was, we'll give you your land back and forgive your debt taxes if you do this. So Christian Bale and a bunch of other men, sheriffs and bounty hunters all got together to go do this. Obviously, if you've seen the movie, as they proceed to go get him to this final destination so that he could be prosecuted at the federal level at that courtroom, people start dying off. Now, me personally watching the movie as a kid, like, at the time I did not comprehend the premise and the point of this. I'm like, hell no, I would have shot the man the first time someone else died trying to protect him, because they had to keep him alive too. So that means while they're transferring him throughout this desert, there's other people who want this man because he's got bounties on his head. There's other people who want him because he killed their cousin and their Pookie and their sister or whatever. So they gotta protect him too. They gotta put their lives on the line to get him on that train, because that was the goal. Anywho, as the movie goes on, Christian Bale is like, yo, I gotta get you here. Russell Crowe's like, what are you doing, man? My posse's coming. You gonna die. It's not worth it. Go back and take care of your family. Like, what are you doing? But he explained to him, he broke it down like, yo, this is all I got. I'm on my last limb, pun intended. I need to get you on that train. Part of it was for his family, but the other part was for his legacy, and he felt guilt for lying about what he did in the war, and he didn't really do it. He didn't earn some of the hype he had got around the community. So he had a whole bunch of stuff to prove, but he knew he was on a suicide mission. But that suicide mission was for the protection of his children. I'm not recalling, I think for his wife and child. I know he had kids, but I'm assuming his wife was still left to take care of the farm. But in that structure, him risking it all was predicated on the fact that he knew that if he did this, the government was going to keep, or the bank, whoever owned the land, they were going to keep their promise and give him back the farm for his family to again survive. So he didn't do it just to do it. He do it because he knew that there was a structure in place where there was honor and codes of ethics, that if he did what he had to do, it would be done. And even Russell Crowe, the Pookie and Ray Ray, understood what he was doing to the point where when his posse came and killed Christian Bale's character, yeah, he died. Spoiler alert. That was late. I'm black. It is what it is. He got back on the train I think he killed his number two that came to rescue him just to solidify the deal, just to say, I was on that 310 to Yuma train. Christian Bale did what he was supposed to do. The government, you better honor that agreement you made with him because I did that. That's how a structure work. That's how a community work. That's how the shit's supposed to work. Now, again, I ask the question, do we have that in the black community? Is it a guarantee that if you go out here and you do some sacrificial shit that your family's going to be taken care of? You can't remove that from your equation. You can't have this idea that black men going to go risk their lives for you, black woman, without things being established already that, oh, this is how we operate here. This is how we do things. If you don't have that, and you want men in this egalitarian, we do strong and independent, we don't need a man, they turn on television, right? When we turn on our movies, what do we see? All these shitty ass black thrillers over and over again with Taraji P. Henson and Sanaa Lathan. The black men don't even get to be heroes in those movies. They risk their lives and they die. But there's a reason why these directors and writers and they market this shit to you where you can be the superwoman. And yeah, I get it. You don't like that in particular, but you argue with your own female followers because they like that shit. They want to see that shit. They love the sister climbing up to the top of the damn Statue of Liberty. Go black woman. They love seeing the sister tear down the flag and go to jail. The Confederate flag. Yeah, I like that shit. That's why they promote these movies with Gabrielle Union's new movie, her fake Panic Room movie that I didn't even watch. But I know she was the hero of the movie. I know she saved the day. That imagery matters as well. Like, when you look at talking about promotion and white men who feel that they're not valued and they don't see their image being portrayed, and you got Stan Lee and all his boys who create all these superheroes, they promoted themselves, right? Y'all claim that black men don't do that. Well, that's what those white men did with their comic books because they wanted to be the hero. They wanted to save the day. They wanted to see themselves on film, on print at that time, and then it turned into film, live action and whatnot. That matters. But what do you think black boys see? They don't see that in our movies. They see black men being asexual. They see movies like I, Robot, Will Smith, Save the Day, Tom Brady, Baby Mama, Don't Get the Pussy. That's important. If you're saving the world and risking it all, that is important. This asexual shit is not cool. That's a whole different video and topic, and we're going to get to that at that point. But that does matter. Denzel Washington, Equalizer 2, risk it all to save a white woman and gets nothing in return. Get the context of what that was in their relationship. She was his handler. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, it's another ace movie that Denzel Washington has done several of. This asexual black male. Equalizer 1, he risked it all. Put other people's lives in danger over a white prostitute. Those images matter as well. And motherfuckers is looking at that as young boys, and we see that shit. We don't agree with that shit. I hate the movie Drive. But that's a different topic, though. But I'm saying all that does matter when you're talking about promoting your image, being a hero, being a savior. But this idea that someone present is, we want black men to have this knee-jerk reaction to go do this without addressing the fact that we don't have this structure, without addressing all the matriarchy. We don't address all this female empowerment and all this other stuff. You don't, when white women realize that they've gone too far, they're writing books, they're on TV shows saying, wait a minute, we took this feminist shit a little bit too far. We can see to the point, we messed up. We understand that the more egalitarian society becomes, the more expectations that come with women. Some women cannot comprehend that. This one chick I go back and forth with online, she's on this, well, my family is strong patriarchy Puerto Rican men, and they don't care what society does. I'm like, that's good for you, but the more egalitarian society comes, the more expectations they're going to have of women. And if y'all promoting that shit, this is the result you're going to have. This is where we are at, though. We're not in 310 to Yuma. We're not in this environment where these are codes and conducts and structures that are already built up and maintained, things are just guaranteed. They're just assumed. You see what happens when a white dude does some dumb shit, gets arrested. His structure is there. Even people who don't even know his ass. We don't have that. So you gotta get this out your mind that you want black men to risk it all, view your life as more valuable than theirs, with all this other baggage and shit going on in the community that you ain't even addressing. So you claim that it shouldn't be sex tied to it, but you think you about to get a bunch of disposable men to go off and do that in our community? That's not happening. Not in this age, not in this era, not what we're promoted with constantly in imagery of what we see and whatnot. Not when we see that when the men do make those ultimate sacrifices, that they're not even compensated. Their families are not even taken care of. That should be automatic. It shouldn't even be a word. It should just happen naturally. I watched that whole debate section with not the Negro with the tattoos, Mr. Cynthia G, China Fox, Angry Man, and whatnot. And I don't know the other sister's name, the chocolate sister who does hair videos and she does colorism videos and she's often on the grapevine. She was nowhere near as extreme as Cynthia G or China Fox, but one of the arguments she made was that we want about black men and protection. That topic came up, and Angry Man and all the other men were like, "What are you talking about? We protect our women. We protect the women in our family." But she made the same point that the other female made: is no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about randomness. Like, you don't know me, you have no correlation to me. And I'm saying that's asking much for when you don't account for the fact that a lot of black men have been on that. A lot of brothers are in jail because they had knee-jerk reactions to defend and protect, and bitch was lying. You got to count all that into the equation. Now, are there some men who have that deep-seated in them? I had a conversation with an older dude. I didn't really engage him much, but he was talking about how when police officers come to rescue a woman, because he's ex-law enforcement, he was a federal agent, and now he's a private investigator, armed man, concealed carry type of cat. He's admitted he's intervened in situations that he saw before. I brought on this post. I've learned my lesson. I've saw too much. I'm not getting in anybody else's business. He responds, "You're a pretty big, strong guy. I would like to think you're going to go intervene." Like, no, I didn't have to respond. I said what I said. I learned my lessons. I've seen what happens. If you're a police officer, former law enforcement, and you acknowledge that there are times where you came to just diffuse a situation and you're apprehending the man, you put your cape on, and the chick is behind you ready to hit you in the back of the head with a bottle, okay, that's cool for you. You can take those risks. You can view that her life is more valuable than yours, but that's your choice. And I'm saying, whoa, if you trying to convince this generation of black men to be on that, I don't know. But back to what I was saying about her, she made that point. She was one of the first women that said that. We're not talking about protecting family members or protecting people we know and people you date. She wants that randomness. And not just in a physical situation. An example that was brought up was like when Amanda Steinberg was getting clowned. This one chick that does blog talks that Sarge went on and went back and forth for her. She went on some rant about the gay dude who was coming at Amanda Steinberg, who played the black community, who played you guys. Played up her blackness, then said, fuck it, I'm on some lesbian weirdo shit and I'm biracial after the fact. But she calls out Kim K or one of the Kardashians for braiding the hair, and some gay dude, Andy Cohen, I think, made fun of her. And I'm like, I got what the chicks were saying, but I don't give a fuck about that shit. Leave that for your gay male friends to come out and cry about cultural appropriation and braids and whatnot. I can be honest with you, I don't give a shit about that. So I'm not going to have this knee-jerk reaction to run out there and defend this little biracial chick because she got attacked by some moist dude over some hair. I can just admit that. I don't care. But there were some women that were charging black men for not defending her and stepping up to that plate. Like, it should be, they want that knee-jerk reaction. The young lady on the Angry Man Google Hangout she said the same thing. Her situation wasn't even the violent stuff. It was more just the symbolic, silly shit like hair videos or not shitting on other women who come at black women. Like, that's a female fight. What do you want men to get in that for? But she was one of the first people that made it. She was honest about what she meant about black men not protecting black women. It wasn't about personal relationships. It wasn't about even the violent stuff. It was just silly shit like that. And I'm going to say a lot of men probably just don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I was going to do a video about Chicago and what happened a couple weeks ago when it was all the violence, and talk about these Pookies and Ray Rays and these undesirable niggas who be terrorizing the community. Because I watched a clip of May Jackson, which I recommend you check out his channel and his radio show. But he had some guy on who does breakdowns of gangs, and he breaks down the vice lords and how all that shit started, and the exception of it in Chicago, LA, New York, but mostly in Chicago. And he does break down that the dominant culture understands how to deal with their undesirables. They have this way of making them feel empowered and making them feel useful in society, and to use their talent or what they're on. Basically, he was saying that certain people are just predestined to be fuck-ups or be violent or be Pookies and Ray Rays or be, you know, the boxer being sent off into the ballerina being sent off to the boxing match, as Sarah says. These people are predestined to be who they are. And the architects of that society, the leadership of that society, has to know how to put people in places. And the dominant culture and other groups as well do the same thing. They put their men who are on that in the right places. They make them police officers. They make them SEAL Team 6. They utilize these people who they gonna pop off. The question is, do they pop off in your environment, or do you send them a million miles away and put them in some sand and give them a M16 and let them pop off over there? That is absolutely true, though. They know how to take their disposable males, and they have, again, a structure behind it, and they make it beautiful and honorable to do these things. It's not just for nothing, okay? That's the point I want to be made clear. It's something attached to it. The enamoring of the white dude who graduated from high school, who goes by that recruiter office to go fight overseas, that sacrifices, they got to make that shit real honorable. There's a reason why there's a bunch of medals and accolades that go along with those sacrifices. It ain't just off, out of nowhere. It comes with something. Incentives matter. That's what my whole point. And women who are making this argument, you know damn well that incentives matters, because you won't support actors and entertainers. You have incentives and expectations for them to get your dollar and your support. So how can you divorce that when you're on the same shit from black men who feel the same way? And again, I agree that it doesn't equate to sex, but again, you ain't about to convince a motherfucker who knows he has no shot with a woman that he needs to go out there and value her life is more valuable than his. This is not. And not have a structure that he knows is going to take care of him when some shit pops off. And that. There was a story a couple years ago where a guy jumps on his neighbor's car because two Pookies and Ray Rays about to steal a car. They shoot his ass in front of his two sons in the morning because he was taking them to the bus stop for school. Was that neighbor's car more valuable than his life? Did he need to do all that shit? No. You can replace the vehicle. But he did that dumb shit. And that was the point where you had to think, like, what's my first responsibility? Your family. And a lot of men are thinking in that terms. I'll go out here and do this, but what about my family? Why am I leaving myself vulnerable, leaving my family vulnerable to go protect someone else's situation? And there's no guarantee, there's no code of conduct, there's no structure saying that if something does happen to me, that my family will be compensated and taken care of, and they won't have any worries. Apart from the fact that they lost their father, they're still going to struggle economically, and every other indicator what happens when there's no father in the home. It's going to happen. People are thinking about that. I don't think it's fair to not let them think that way. Until there is a structure, people are going to be individual minded. And that structure does not exist. Stop acting like this is something that the black community is on. Stop acting like patriarchy is something that the majority of men want to be on. You just get on YouTube and you watch a couple of videos, and now you hear certain people saying certain things, and now you're trying to charge 20 million men with something that you just learned your damn self. That's my issue. You can't charge somebody to the game with something they don't know that they're supposed to do or even subscribe to. And you know damn well that most black women are not on that. When black men who are patriarchal and they are shut the fuck up, I'll lead you, do what I say. Yeah, I don't get up and defend these men. The men who cape and put on their, they tell you the shit that you want to hear, not the shit you need to know. Yeah, I support them motherfuckers that sit in their cars like they ain't got no legs and giving you relationship advice. Hey, this Team Jackson. Yeah, I support those Steve Harveys and the Hill Harpers and the motherfuckers like that. Yeah, I support these preachers who give these moist ass messages because they have to cater to the female base. Yeah, I support those men who give up those man up speeches to put themselves and taking care of their own personal relationships. But those motherfuckers that tell you it real and it's straight. I don't know how many conversations I've had on social media where a chick is complaining about patriarchy, right? Again, you can't get through a Grapevine video, no matter what the topic is, without hearing somebody on that, either a gay black man or a black woman, talking about we got to get rid of this patriarchy thing. Completely ignoring the fact that with life, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. And if you have a culture or society where the men view the women as equal, there's going to be more expectations of the women. That's just facts. And they don't get the fact. I mean, another female, she was saying, always talking about patriarchy, evil, this and that. Her father, but at the same time, she boasts about her father, who I don't know why he did, but he went to jail for 10 years for killing somebody. Don't know if that had anything to do with her. But she boasts and talks about his protection, his leadership, and the things he done, and sacrifice. Compares him to this day of men. But then she cries about patriarchy being at fault for this and at fault for that. And the patriarchy makes us hate ourselves and makes us do this and makes us do that. And I'm like, do you not get the correlation? Do you not understand that women and children are protected in the patriarchy? That no, the caveat is these men don't view you as their equals. No, they view you as damsels in distress and helpless. That's part of it. I literally was talking to a female and she could not comprehend the reality that when men view women as their equals, they don't feel the need to protect or provide for them. And what community expresses that more than the black community? You got to attack the culture, man. Back when the religious right in the 70s during the feminist movement and all that, they lost their culture war. Those white patriarchal men lost their war with the culture. Now, they didn't address it right. Maybe it was inevitable. I think they led with fear and not compassion and education. That's why they lost that culture war. But those men forgot they lost that war. So when women talk about, well, if the black men do something and the black women shut it down, it was weak or whatever. Like, no, because even white men have lost that culture war, right? They have their women, when it comes to feminism and whatnot. White men right now are passing laws to stop abortions for their women because they understand the importance and the power of legacy and living on forever, right? So the shit that happened with Gloria Steinem and the feminist movement and abortion on demand, that was a negotiating tool for white women to say, hey, white man, we don't want to destroy patriarchy, rape, and pillage. We want you to share that shit with us, right? Meanwhile, in the black community, we are talking about destroying the system. They're asking their men to share with them, right? So while they're negotiating with their men, saying like, all right, cool, gotta have some more babies though. We need these men for war. We need these men to produce and grow our numbers. We got Oprah up here talking about shout out your abortion. And our numbers are already low. But that was a negotiation tactic. The whole abortion thing was women saying, we not gonna have these babies. So if you trying to say that it's a failed movement of black women use their influence to shut some shit down, women have historically always done that. They've always used their influence as women to start wars, to shame men who didn't want to go to war, to Vietnam where they shame men for going to war. Women have always used that feminine power to impose on situations that they were not comfortable with historically. So you can't say that because it got shut down because black women band together. There was a bill in Tennessee about mandatory fraternity tests. A politician was about to get the shit passed, but a bunch of women stopped that. So because he made the effort, did everything he had to do, got enough signatures to get the bill on his docket, a bunch of women heard what was going on, and they said, nope, that shit ain't getting passed, and they pushed against it. They used their influence. So don't undermine the influence that women have on the culture and society. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, right? A child's first teacher is who? The mother, right? So don't give those monikers and those gassing up statements and then take it away for when shit don't go the right way, as if they're exempt from what's going on. Don't remove the fact that a lot of these men that you're charging with not protecting you are raised by these very same women. And you pick the type of men that don't want to be in the home with you. You all admit that. You say you choose Pookie and Ray Ray because they promote themselves and they have swag and hyper masculinity, and the other niggas don't promote themselves and they should go out of their way to save you and get successful sooner so that they don't end up with these men who ain't gonna do them no good. Like, fuck all that. To close this out, right? Because the video is pretty long. To reiterate, you cannot remove culture. You cannot ignore that this ideas, these movements, whether it's egalitarianism, patriarchy, matriarchy, whatever, these are different ideas that are being battled upon. Men of every race had to deal with these arguments. Go look at Europe. They're wealthy, rich, powerful, did a lot of rape and pillage. In attempts to correct that, they've imposed laws and things of that nature that are undermining their country, right? They got to deal with all this. They try to be egalitarian, and they're seeing the results of that. So it's not like to say that if a black man, like some women would argue the 300 in Detroit, and I didn't even know a lot of cities have that same venue, because black women band together and involve the state to help them, you can't remove that part. The same way that got shut down is no different than, as I said before, the evangelical or the conservative right. They couldn't compete with the education system. Feminists and liberal-minded people were strategic. They took over the influence of the youth by, implanting themselves in college campuses, in the school system, in Hollywood, in entertainment. That's a war that the culture, a war that the religious right lost to the left, cultural-wise. So people lose these wars and these battles all the time. So, and no black men can't compete with that same structure, which, with this matriarchy, this role reversal, this women not protected, the kids being raised, as Sarge would say, as being ballerinas to be sent off in a boxing match, they can't compete with that either. And case in point, the clip I'm going to show you as I get done talking, which is important, it should be in the front. But again, women talk about their friend they know personally, or the men who don't care about what's going on. They're going to be out there and put the cape on regardless. But when those men speak publicly, those men don't get support. Those men are teared down. Those men don't get any kudos. The bitch asses who cape to your feelings and emotions about relationships and that shit, y'all support them, defend them, and step up. Now, when Melissa Harris Perry did this speech and this whole thing about redefining masculinity, there should have been traditional so-called patriarchal black women to respond to that. There should have been several articles saying, no, Melissa Harris Perry, we want our men to use their toxic masculinity to keep us safe. Now, the context of that conversation was when Maya Angelou, and I don't know if the book, the movie, or what happened in my life are the same or not, or they changed things. All I know is in the movie, Maya Angelou's uncles killed the guy that raped her. And Melissa Harris, two last names Perry, speaking in a conference full of women about redefining masculinity, tells these women that those men who were patriarchs, right? Now I get some of these women out here talking about if she was raped, then they was a failed patriarchy. No. Maya Angelou's I mean, her mother was fucking with a Pookie and Ray Ray, let him around her daughter, and did not protect her. But that's not neither here nor there. I say what their uncles did set a standard, right? This is before the government intervention. This is during Jim Crow and segregation, and we weren't dependent on the state and didn't have much influence over us. We had more control over our communities. Her four uncles set a message. They set a precedent in our community. You don't touch women and children, right? They're off limits. And if you do that, this is what happens. That taught Maya Angelou's brothers, when someone does something to your sister, this is how we respond. There's no questions asked. We don't even talk about it. Just knee-jerk reaction. Now, that's the right thing, right? That's what all the black women are complaining we need more of. That's the one argument that I can say black feminists and black people can have an agreement on when it comes to rape and pillages. That should be the end solution. But why is it that when Melissa Harris Perry can make these public speeches sponsored by her universities saying, no, her uncles were wrong. They didn't think about her humanity. They didn't wait to see what she wanted to do or how she felt about it. So, in essence, she kind of blamed Melissa Harris Perry, and kind of sort of Maya Angelou did as well. Blamed her uncles for why she didn't talk, why she went mute for a few years. Because she thought that when she spoke, men died. Because her mothers, the women, didn't explain to her and didn't nurture her. And yes, her mother was shitty. That's why she's being raised by her grandmother in the first place. But the women in her life failed to nurture her, to give her that feminine energy, all that stuff that they're supposed to do. The men did their job. They handled the physical stuff. That emotional shit, her grandmother did not do. Her mother could not do. But, again, Melissa Harris Perry, she's up here talking this shit. No attacks on her. No saying, no, Melissa Perry, you don't speak for us. Again, you have white women who recognize they've gone too far with feminism, and they're correcting it. They're writing books. Dr. Helen Smith, Susan Vanker, the Princeton Mom lady who used to do videos with boys, they're speaking out against it. They're pointing out the fuckery. Y'all don't do that. Y'all get on the team of the women and they bash the men. They talk about the preacher who just was at Aretha Franklin's funeral, who simply made the standpoint of fathers got to be at home. Now, it was a man up speech and pointing at men, but at the end of the day, y'all keep choosing these men that don't want to be with y'all, don't want to be fathers. And the two things that women have anonymity over is on their own bodies and who they choose to have kids with. That's one thing that you have complete control over. We don't take that as a context, though. But he's being shitted on right now because he gave one of these respectability politics speeches at Aretha Franklin's funerals, which we can agree was out of context of what it was supposed to be about. But everybody there was making political statements and doing stuff that had nothing to do with her funeral. So that's that's a cop-out. Everybody was doing that shit. But that's just my point. Y'all don't support the men who do all that, rugged, masculine, male, it's our fault no matter how fucked up the women do. We're going to take responsibility. Y'all don't support those men. By and large, y'all do not. Y'all help tear them men down. When men start coming out with some real shit, saying some real stuff that's not PC, that's not profitable, because these corporations, these companies, they're shifting because it gets them money to make women feel good and hear things they want to hear. But y'all do not support these men who go out and do exactly what you claim you want them to do. So I don't think you have a right to speak on that when y'all don't do that. Nor do I see y'all encouraging that. Nor do I see you challenging publicly women like Melissa Harris Perry who are shitting on men who handle business in with a patriarchal mindset.
So a man is only someone who can physically push back, fight back, and protect their women. So what happens in the context of the story of I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Maya Angelou as a little girl is violated and raped, but that is not why she stopped speaking. She stopped speaking because she tells her uncles. And her uncles go and murder her rapist. And she stopped speaking because she says, I believe that if I spoke, people died. So in this great desire to go out and protect their woman and do this thing and show their manhood, they violate her humanity by making her feel not only like a survivor of this horrifying sexual assault, but they almost take Maya Angelou's voice, not only from her, but from all of us for all of time, because they were all geeked up on their manhood and not worried about what an 8-year-old girl might have needed in that moment that wasn't about the perpetuation of additional violence. So if we continue to talk about the